welcome to Mr. Timeline. I'm your host, Joseph, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 underrated movies. Now, what I've referred to underrated, I mean movies that not a lot of people know about, or if they do know about them, just at a brief glance, they don't know it all off the top of their head. These are movies that are compelling, fun in a lot of cases, and very inventive. They range from adventure films to animated films. So with that being said, here is the top 10 underrated movies. Number 10, Wizards. This is a very interesting animated film from the creator of Cool World, as well as the animated Lord of the Rings from back in the late 70s, Ralph Bakshi. Ralph Bakshi is a very interesting character, and we'll talk more about him in another video. But Ralph Bakshi creates this very compelling idea of a world where the nuclear holocaust wipes out humanity and all the fairy creatures come back. Like wizards, fairies, goblins, all of them. On top of that, the places which are radiated, which are probably former cities, weird mutants start popping up all over the place. And it just builds on this world. The opening narration sets the tone of the story right from the get-go. The music is phenomenal. And again, it goes into a really cool idea of a story, which is very different and very inventive. And again, it's one of the more unique films. And it's actually pretty mild compared to a lot of other Ralph Bakshi films. So number 10, Wizards. Number 9, Meteor Man. This is one of my personal favorites. Meteor Man centers around a teacher who lives in the inner city of, I believe, Washington, D.C. I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not sure on that 100%. What's great about the story is he gets hit by a meteor and gets superpowers. And while having these superpowers, he dons a cape and costume and fights a gang called the Golden Hairs, I believe. And he has to fight them. What's really good about that is some of the supporting cast. The supporting cast is made up of legendary actors. You've got James Earl Jones. You've got Eddie Griffin as one of his earlier roles. Both do a fantastic job. Now, something I need to point out is Bill Cosby is one of the characters in this film. But don't let that make you want to watch the film. The film is actually really fantastic and a lot of fun. One of the best sequences involves the fight between him and the main villain, who eventually gets his own version of the meteor-related powers. And if you touch something with these powers, you get the entire book in your head. And they both pick up a fashion magazine, so there's a funny moment where they're posing as they're fighting each other. It's one of the funniest moments of the film. So, number 9, Meteor Man. Number 8, The Postman. This is one of the best post-apocalyptic films I've ever seen, next to Mad Max. Well, Mad Max is very action-heavy, obviously. Postman there's a lot of hope in The Postman. Basically, you have an actor, a traveling actor, in this post-apocalyptic environment. In an attempt to find warmth and shelter, finds an old, abandoned mail vehicle with a skeletal mailman in it. So he puts on the uniform, and proceeds to hunker down in the mail van until it's warm and sunny outside. Then he proceeds to make it to the nearest town with mail, and he starts doing this as a regular thing, all the while having to face off against the despotic gang led by Will Patton, um, character called General Bethlehem. What's great about this story is it is a very, in my opinion, good way of showing what a post-apocalyptic environment would actually be like after several years. Because humanity would not die out, in my opinion. Humanity would actually rebuild societies as best they could. But what's great is the fact that it's got a great score that just swells as the story progresses. The film has great performances from Kevin Costner, who also directed it. Will Patton, immediately believable as the villain. And overall, it's just a fantastic film. Very underrated. It did very poorly in the box office. It's actually based on a novel. There's like 2 or 3 novels in the series. But The Postman is number 8, and I definitely recommend you check that one out. Number 7, Sidekicks. This is one of the funniest movies I've watched in my years. Now, it's really, you can't find a copy of it on DVD, sadly. And any DVD copy you do find is going to be a VHS rip to the DVD. So it's not going to be good quality. But the movie itself, which you can actually watch on YouTube. You can actually watch it on YouTube. I found it. Hopefully it's still there. But it's a little bit of a harder film to find. It is a lot of fun. The film stars Joe Piscopo as the villain. And he kills it. Every moment he's in the scene, he kills it. It's also got Chuck Norris as a partner to the main character, Barry Babruski, who is a teenager with asthma. He's bullied, picked on by both the classmates and some of the teachers. But because of his love of Chuck Norris, he really wants to be a martial artist. He ends up getting the help of one of his teacher's fathers, played brilliantly by Mako. And you get a lot of fun in the film, culminating in Barry finally getting to team up with his idol, Chuck Norris. Again, the movie's a lot of fun. Joe Piscopo kills it. He steals every scene he's in. Definitely watch it for the fight between him and Chuck Norris, which is one of the funniest moments of the whole film. His main character, Kelly Stone, and Chuck Norris during the final tournament at the end of the movie. But it's a lot of fun. Highly recommend if you can find it. You might have just settled for a VHS copy if you can find a VCR. But yes, number 7, Sidekicks. Number 6, Runaway. Now this one is a very hard to find film. It came out in the early 80s and it's a very cyberpunk-esque story. Basically centers around a cop whose job is to bring down rogue robots. Who is brilliantly played by Tom Selleck. He has to team up with another person played by Kirstie Alley as they hunt down an assassin who's using smart bullets to kill people. It's a very good movie, very underrated. Like I said, it's very hard to find, but it's a lot of fun as an action and suspense film. Interesting premise, interesting characters. Highly recommended. Number 5, Virtuosity. Another cyberpunk-inspired story. Virtuosity centers around a ex-cop who was put into jail after causing the death of a reporter who was interviewing a serial killer who killed his wife and child. Well, years later, he's in prison, but he's part of an experiment to test a AI training system for police against an AI opponent known as Sid 6000, I believe. Sid is highly intelligent and has the mental algorithms of over 1,000 serial killers. And somehow he gets out of the virtual world into our world, and it's up to this former cop and a scientist to bring him down. The film stars Denzel Washington in a very good performance. He does fantastic, but he does good in anything he ever does. And the other standout is the villain, Sid, played brilliantly by Russell Crowe. I think it was one of his first U.S. films that he did, because he primarily had done work in Australia. But he is phenomenal as a villain. He relishes every moment. If they made a Batman movie during that period, he would have been a great Joker. That's how much he plays up the insanity. And again, the film is great. Great score, great storytelling, great pacing. So, Virtuosity, number 5. Number 4, American Pop. Another one, I believe, from Ralph Bakshi. This one is a really good story. You follow 3 generations of the same family, all involving music. It starts with the grandfather who was a pianist. The father of the main character, it was a soldier in World War II. And then finally the main character who becomes a pop star. This is a really good film in terms of story and pacing. You get a lot of story in just the hour and a half, 2 hour runtime. And for an animated film, it doesn't let up in terms of story. The story is taken from a very mature perspective. It's actually a film my mom introduced me to when I was younger, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend American Pop. Number 3, Magic Kid. This is similar to Sidekicks. I know but it's a fun movie. A young boy is a big fan of Don the Dragon Wilson, who, I don't know if he still does martial arts, but he's done martial arts a lot, and he was well known at the time. The movie came out in the 90s. Don the Dragon Wilson is his idol. And he goes to California, a chance to hopefully meet him, because him and his sister go to stay with his uncle in California. His uncle, who is a casting agent. Well, his uncle also owes people money, and it ends up the kid, who is a martial artist, works with Don Dragon Wilson at the end of the movie to save his uncle. It's a lot of fun. Again, like Sidekicks, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it has a lot of fun and heart in it. This was during a time in Hollywood where they had a lot of martial arts related movies come out really in quick succession. You had Sidekicks, you had Magic Kid, and you also had the Three Ninjas movies start coming out around this time. Double Dragon, another one in that list. This is a fun movie. Highly recommend it if you can find it. Like Sidekicks, it's kind of hard to find, but I do recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Number 2, Spawn. Spawn is a very good comic book adaptation. I mean, it's not as good as it could be. It has its flaws. But overall, as a comic book movie, it is a lot of fun. It's action-packed. Michael Jai White kills it as Al Simmons. Also, Martin Sheen is great as the villain. John Leguizamo actually works as the villain Clown. And again, it's a really fun movie. But basically, it's based on the Spawn comics of the 1990s by Todd McFarlane and Terry Fitzgerald. And basically, it's centered around Al Simmons, who is a mercenary for the U.S. or a hitman for the U.S. government. Goes on secret missions to take out rogue leaders and stuff like that. Well, he realizes that his boss is egging him on kills of civilian targets as well, and he's not realizing it until he finds out about it later on. So he confronts his boss, and his boss kills him. And because he killed a lot of people, he goes to hell, and he makes a deal with the devil, or in this case, Malebolgia. They say he's not the actual devil. There's a whole list of devils. But Malebolgia to be the leader of his army. So what ends up happening is he comes back, and he goes after his enemies, meanwhile uncovering a plot to cause a virus to wipe out humanity. Great performances all around, and I have to say special shout out to John Leguizamo, who really just goes full into the character of Clown, plays up the disgusting nature of the character, and is a lot of fun. So, number 2, Spawn. Number 1, without further ado, one of my personal favorite movies, Stay Tuned. This is a very little known or lesser known comedy from John Ritter. It stars John Ritter, Pan Dauber, Jeffrey Jones, and it is a blast. Basically, John Ritter's character, Roy, is neglecting his family because he'd rather watch TV. Well, his wife gets fed up with it, breaks the TV. And then a mysterious figure shows up offering him a TV with 666 channels. Yeah, that's not a red flag, no. It's not a red flag at all. Anyway, makes a deal, gets the TV, and it sucks him and his wife into the TV. Meanwhile, it's all a plot to destroy them and steal their souls. Because if they die in the TV, their souls go to hell. It is a wonderful film. The parodies of television and movies are great. And a special shout out to as a huge Star Trek fan, the parody of Star Trek The Next Generation is one of my favorite moments of the film. Again, Stay Tuned is number 1. I definitely recommend that movie. It is available on Amazon Prime if you want to check it out. And that being said, thank you for joining me today. If you like what you see here, please like, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section, and please let me know how you think I'm doing on these videos. I'm always looking for feedback. If you have any ideas, please share them in the comment section. I might take a look at them. With that being said, hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you, and keep watching. You have a wonderful day.